What if I told you every word you speak to your cat leaves an imprint on their heart? That your voice isn't just noise, it's memory, comfort, and even survival. Cats may not understand our language, but they feel it. The rise and fall of your tone, the rhythm of your breathing, the emotion you hide, and the secrets you don't say out loud. But here's the question no one asks. What does your cat actually think when you talk to them? If you walk away now, you may never know the truth hidden in their silence. Welcome to Paws and Whiskers. Before we dive in, a quick note. What you're about to discover isn't just trivia. It's a key to understanding your cat's hidden world. Stay with me until the very end, because each point builds on the last. And by the time we're done, you'll never look at your cat's quiet gaze the same way again. And hey, tell me in the comments, does your cat react when you speak to them? Let's make the comments a tribute to every cat who ever listened when we thought they weren't. What your cat really thinks when you talk to them. Have you ever whispered a secret to your cat, vented your frustrations after a long day, or asked them a silly question you knew they couldn't possibly answer? And in that quiet moment, they just stare back, unblinking, still, eyes glowing, with an intensity that makes you wonder, do they know something I don't? That silence isn't empty. It's layered with meaning. And today, we're diving into one of the most intimate, mysterious connections in the animal world. The hidden dialogue between your voice and your cat's soul. But before we go further, pause for a second. This isn't just another video. This is a journey into the unseen bond you share with your feline companion. If you've ever felt that spark when they blink slowly at you, or press their head into your palm as if to say, I trust you, then stay with me until the very end. Because once you understand what's really happening when you speak, you'll never see your cat or yourself the same way again. So, let's begin. What does your cat actually hear when you speak? Not words, not sentences, not the grammar we cling to as humans. To them, your voice is something else entirely. Imagine this, standing at the edge of a river, watching ripples spread across the surface. That's how your voice feels to your cat. Waves of rhythm, vibration, and emotional texture flowing through their world. But here's the twist. Cats don't just hear, they decode. Studies show cats are masters of prosody, the hidden music, in your voice. They tune into melody, not meaning. To them, your words aren't language, but energy, a pulse that tells them if you're safe, stressed, joyful, or broken. It's why you could mutter, I love you, in a flat, empty tone, and they won't even twitch, but whisper nonsense in a tender rhythm, and they'll run to you as if pulled by a string. And those ears, oh, they're not ordinary. Ears. While you hear the world at 20,000 hertz, they stretch to 64,000. They hear the whisper of a shoelace, the faintest hum in the walls, the emotions hiding in your voice long before you notice them yourself. So let me ask you, do you think your cat understands you more than you realize? Have you ever noticed them reacting to your tone instead of your words? I want to hear your story in the comments below. When you speak to your cat, they don't just hear you. They absorb you. Every sigh, every crack in your tone, every pause, where the silence feels heavier than the words. It all becomes part of the secret symphony they use to map your emotional world. To them, your voice is not just sound. It's pattern. It's memory. And once they learn your pattern, they don't forget. Cats, unlike many animals, hold on to moments. Scientists call it associative long-term memory, meaning they don't just drift through life, they record the things that matter most. Each time you speak with love, calm, or care, you're weaving threads into a hidden tapestry in their mind, a library of you. Your voice doesn't vanish into the air, it lives in them, forever. So when you walk through the door and say, "Hey buddy, I'm home," your cat may not understand the sentence, but watch closely. Their ears flick, Their head lifts, their tail twitches. Why? Because that sound, that tone, that exact melody has been stored in a drawer inside their memory, tucked alongside the scent of your skin, the rhythm of your footsteps, and the time of day you always arrive. Your voice is not random to them. It's context. It's music. It's the lead instrument in the symphony of their world. And here's the eerie part. Science shows cats can tell your voice apart from every stranger's. In one study, cats were played recordings of both their owner and complete strangers, saying the same phrase. Again and again, they ignored the outsiders, but turned instantly toward the voice that mattered. Yours. But don't mistake this for language. They don't assign you a name. They don't picture you sitting at a desk, paying bills. They feel you. Your voice is their internal weather system. A shift in your tone is like a storm front rolling in, sudden, powerful, impossible to ignore. And here's the truth most owners miss. Your words matter far less than your intention. Picture this. Your cat is stretched out in a beam of sunlight, half asleep. You whisper softly, "You're so good. I love you." To you, it's a sentence. To them, it's safety. A melody of peace confirming their world is whole. Now flip the scene. Your voice spikes in frustration, not at them, maybe at the phone, the shattered glass, the frozen screen. Instantly, they're gone. They don't know the words, but they know the change. To them, it's thunder rumbling in the distance. Too loud to ignore. So tell me, have you ever noticed your cat flinch or bolt when your tone changes, even when it wasn't meant for them? I want to know in the comments. To your cat, your voice is weather. They don't listen for words. They listen for atmosphere. Every shift in your tone is like pressure in the sky. Calm winds bring safety. Sharp storms bring danger. To them, you are the barometer, their emotional climate. Think about that for a second. That's power. You have the ability to soothe or to stress your cat, not with punishment, not with commands, but simply by existing, by speaking, by being the storm or the calm. But here's where it gets stranger. Some researchers believe cats actually learn to shape their own sounds around us, not with words, but with tone. Ever noticed your cat using one very specific meow for food, or that soft trill only when they greet you? That's not random, it's adaptation. It's them mirroring you, a delicate, invisible dance of sound and intention. Not imitation, not mimicry, something far more profound. Proof that even without understanding words, they understand you. And here's the part most people never realize. Behind their silence, your cat is memorizing you. Every laugh, every whisper, every broken cry. Your voice is etched into their memory, day by day, moment by moment, until it becomes the very boundary of their world. When you laugh, they feel the warmth. When you whisper, they settle into stillness. When you cry, they stay close, sometimes for hours. Not because they know why you're hurting, but because they know you are, and that's the secret. Your voice, however strong or shattered, is the one constant that holds their universe together. So, what do they really think when you talk to them? They think, "This is the sound of my world. This is the presence I trust. This is home." But there's one moment, rare, powerful, unforgettable, when the bond shifts. When your cat doesn't, just listen. They answer. And when it happens, it's not a meow. It's not a sound at all. It's something deeper, something ancient, something you may have missed. Picture this. You're talking, pouring out your heart, and then your cat turns toward you. Their eyes soften, narrow, and then a slow, deliberate blink. Not once, but in rhythm, almost like syllables unspoken. And in that instant, if you're really paying attention, you'll feel it, a response. a conversation without words, a moment where silence speaks louder than language. That's not coincidence. That's not imagination. That's communication, raw, emotional, undeniable. So let me ask you, has your cat ever slow blinked at you as if they were whispering back? Did you realize you were having the most important conversation of your life? Share it in the comments. I want to read every story. This is the invisible thread, the bond that doesn't need words to be real, the current that runs from your emotions straight into theirs. You may think you're the only one speaking, but the truth is your cat has been talking back all along. You've just been listening with the wrong ears. To understand what your cat really thinks when you talk to them, you have to go beyond sound. You have to enter their language, silent, intuitive, and ancient. It begins with the eyes. In the wild, silence is survival. Noise means danger. So across generations, cats evolved a language of blinks, stillness, and posture. And when they turn those eyes toward you, when they blink slowly, it isn't boredom, it isn't fatigue. It's trust. It's their whispered "I love you" in a language older than words. So when you speak softly and they respond with that long, patient blink, they aren't dismissing you. They're echoing the tone of your energy. They're telling you, "I feel safe. You are my calm. Your voice is the soundtrack I can rest to." And then comes the body. Watch closely. Their ears rotate when you speak. Their tail sways, not at random, but in rhythm. Sometimes they tilt their head ever so slightly, syncing their stillness to the sound of your voice, as if tethering themselves to your frequency. Because in their world, your body is a sentence, your tone is a paragraph, and your energy is the punctuation. Move gently, and they mirror your softness. Stand calm and grounded, and they lean closer, daring to breathe deeper in your presence. But rush toward them too quickly, or speak too sharply, and they retreat, not in fear, but in confusion. To a cat, how you move matters more than why. They read us like we read a room, without a single word. They are emotional meteorologists. They feel tension like thunder building on the horizon. They sense affection like sunlight spilling through a window. And here's the key. The more consistent you are, the more trust they weave into you. Cats build emotional maps of their humans, not from our words, but from the rhythm of our existence. The sound of your keys, the way you open a door, the cadence of your footsteps, the softness in your voice after a long day. These become sacred rituals, anchors of familiarity, silent promises that say, "You are home, you are safe." It's not about dominance. It's not about ownership. It's about something far more profound. So let me ask you, has your cat ever answered you with a slow blink or mirrored your calm energy in a way that felt almost human? Did you recognize it for the conversation it really was? Share your story in the comments. I want to know. In your cat's eyes, you are not noise. You are not orders. You are part of the landscape of their world, a lighthouse in the architecture of their day. When you speak, they don't hear instruction. They sense presence. And yet, how often do we forget that they speak back, that gentle headbutt on your chin? That's not random. It's their signature, their scent mark, their way of writing you into their family. When they brush against your leg after you've spoken, they're not just passing by. They're answering. They're closing the conversation with touch. Even silence becomes dialogue. You sit beside them, no words exchanged, and suddenly, there it is, a glance, a tiny shift of the paws, the subtle lean where fur grazes your skin. That's not nothing. That's conversation. It's their way of saying, "I'm with you. I understand. You don't need to explain." And here lies the heart of it. Cats don't demand that we learn their language. They invite us to notice, the one they've been using all along. But are we listening? Many owners complain, "My cat ignores me." They talk, and the cat doesn't even lift their head. But what if that stillness isn't apathy? What if it's understanding? For a cat, silence isn't emptiness. It's a steady reply, a quiet assurance. I hear you, I'm here, and I don't need to move to prove it. And when they do move, when they rise, stretch, and press their body against yours, that is an accident. It's a choice, a conscious decision to accept you in that moment. Their version of participation. We often expect cats to act like dogs, obedient, vocal, loud in their affection. But cats are not dogs. Cats are poetry, symbolic, subtle, spiritual even. Their language is not opera, it's jazz. Unexpected, fluid, deeply personal. A dance, not a directive. And like any language, it grows stronger with repetition. The more you speak with kindness and consistency, the more they respond, not with words, but with presence. They meet you at the door. They shadow you from room to room. They anticipate your rituals before you even move. Sometimes, they seem to know you're about to speak before a word leaves your lips. That's not magic. That's memory. That's pattern recognition. That's emotional intelligence disguised in fur and whiskers. And when this bond deepens, something shifts. You no longer need to raise your voice. You no longer need to explain. They simply know. And suddenly you start to hear something you've missed all along. The silence between your own words. Because speaking to your cat was never about information. It was always about connection. So let me ask you, has your cat ever answered you in silence? In a glance? In a lean? In the brush of fur against your skin? And you just knew? Tell me your moment in the comments. Let's make this a collection of silent conversations. It's not just about words, it's about sharing a frequency. Two souls moving through the same soundscape, one vocal, one silent, yet both completely aware of the other. And maybe that's why people call cats mysterious. Not because they stay silent, but because they speak in ways we've forgotten how to hear. So the next time you talk to your cat, watch closely. Notice the flicker of their eyes, the subtle sway of their tail, the stillness between your sentences. Feel the air change when you say their name with love. That's not silence. That's not ignorance. That's a duet. But there's one moment, a rare, sacred instant, that takes this hidden dialogue to another dimension. It's not about sound. It's not about sight. It's something far more powerful. It's the moment your cat does something unexpected. A gesture, a sound, a stillness so precise it stops your heart and makes you whisper, "Wait, did they just understand me?" Because maybe they did. Think back. Maybe it was an ordinary day. You were tired or broken or maybe overjoyed. You spoke into the air, not to anyone in particular. But your cat was there. They didn't meow. They didn't blink in any dramatic way. They simply moved or stayed completely still. They followed. They pressed closer. They curled beside you, even though they normally wouldn't. And in that quiet, something clicked. Because it wasn't random. It was response. Most people miss this moment. The moment a cat stops merely observing you and steps into the moment with you. The pause in their breath when your voice cracks. The shift in their tail when your shoulders finally drop. That single, deliberate approach when they sense the tremble in your silence. That's not coincidence. That's not reflex. That's conversation, happening on frequencies humans were never taught to measure. You see, cats don't broadcast empathy like dogs. They won't lick your face or whine when you're sad. They aren't loud about their loyalty. They're subtle, surgical, soulful. And because it's so delicate, most of us miss it. But ask anyone who's been shattered by heartbreak with a cat in the room, or cried in the quiet of night with a feline curled against their feet. They'll tell you, it's real, it's deep, it's personal. Because cats have a way of showing up when it matters most. Not to fix you, not to question you, just to be to witness, to hold space. In human psychology, there's a word for this: attunement. So let me ask you, have you ever felt your cat show up in a moment you couldn't explain, almost as if they were breathing with your soul? Share it below. Let's make the comments a sanctuary of these silent miracles, the ability to sense and respond to another's emotions in real time. That's not just psychology. That's survival. And cats, more than most creatures, are born attuned to it. They don't just hear footsteps or smell scents. They live inside vibrations. In their world, stillness carries meaning. Silence is never empty. Every shift in energy is a message. So when you speak and your cat answers, not with words but with presence, that presence is not random. It's chosen. It's powerful. It's love written in stillness. And here's the truth. The longer you share a life with your cat, the deeper this silent understanding becomes. Because to your cat, you're not just a person, you're a living memory. Think about that. The sound of your footsteps down the hall. The way your voice is brighter in the morning, softer at night. The ritual of your keys at the door. The sigh you make when the day has worn you down. These are etched into their timeline, a rhythm they memorize, a blueprint they trust. So when something shifts, when your smile is replaced by silence, when your tone drops lower than usual, when you sit longer in the dark than you used to, they notice, always, and their response? It's not confusion, it's compassion, not in the human sense, but in the feline one, the sacred art of holding stillness as loyalty. This is why so many call cats emotional mirrors, because they don't just react, they reflect. They soften when you soften. They disappear when your chaos grows too loud, only to return the moment your breath steadies. People who call cats indifferent have never witnessed the quiet miracle of a cat sitting vigil beside someone in grief. They've never seen a cat refuse to leave the bed of an ill owner. They've never noticed how a cat falls silent when tension fills the home, or how their purring swells louder when your chest tightens with worry. That's not manipulation. That's not training. That's connection. Because to your cat, your emotional world isn't background noise. It's their environment. Your energy is the room they walk through, whether the lights are on or off. And when you speak, it's not the words they cling to. It's what clings to the words. The tremble in your breath, the crack in your tone, the invisible plea. I need comfort, even if I can't ask for it. And sometimes, your cat is the only one who hears it. You may not notice, but they do. They carry those moments inside them, not as thoughts, but as body memory. Emotional scent. They remember the day you came home in silence and never opened the blinds. They remember the night you collapsed onto the couch, too tired to speak. They remember not in language, but in feeling. And in their stillness, they've been answering you all along. So tell me, has your cat ever shown up in your hardest moment in silence when no one else did? Did you realize what that meant? Share your story in the comments. Your words might remind someone else that their cat has been listening all this time. And when they return to you, pressing their side against yours, curling at your feet, blinking slowly from across the room, know this. That wasn't instinct. That was answering. That was their way of saying, I'm here, I noticed, you matter. There's a story I'll never forget. A woman once shared how her cat, aloof, independent, never one to sleep in her bed, changed overnight after her husband passed away. Every evening, without fail, he climbed onto her chest, curling tight, purring so deeply it vibrated through her grief. She never called for him. She never asked. He simply knew. For 6 months, he never missed a night. Until one evening, he stopped. Not because he didn't care, but because she had begun to heal. His answer had been delivered. His silent vigil complete. Another story. A young girl drowning in anxiety, tears falling on her textbooks. Every time she cried over school, her cat would leap onto the table, sprawl across the paper, and lock eyes with her until the sobs quieted. That wasn't random. That wasn't distraction. That was interruption. That was him saying, "I see you. Stop drowning. I'm right here." So when people ask, what does my cat think when I talk to them? Maybe the better question is, what are they saying when they sit beside you in silence? Because that presence, chosen presence, is their love language. Not meows, not tricks, not performance, but presence, the kind that presses against your ribs when the tears won't stop, the kind that stays in the shadows when the world feels too heavy, the kind that doesn't run from your pain, but moves toward it. And in those moments, what do they really think? It's not divine. It's not mystical. It's not complicated. It's simple. This is the one I trust. This is the voice I know. This is the presence I follow. And this is where I choose to be. And sometimes, just sometimes, when the world finally quiets, when your heart slows enough to listen, you realize something extraordinary. Every word you've ever spoken to your cat, every whisper, every joke, every tender, "who's a good kitty," they weren't just listening. They were answering, in the only language they've ever needed, the one spoken in stillness, the one that never required words. But here's the unsettling question. If your cat can answer you without sound, what else have they been trying to say all this time? Why do some of those silent answers feel like memories, shared fragments of love and loss, even when no word was ever spoken? Because here's the truth. Your cat doesn't just know your voice. They know your soul. So tell me, has your cat ever shown you love in silence, in a way so deep you only understood it later? I want to hear your story in the comments. Let's make this a tribute to every cat who ever answered without a word. You don't need words for your cat to understand you. In fact, some of the most profound conversations you'll ever share will unfold in absolute silence. Cats don't navigate life through sentences. They live in a world of posture, rhythm, energy, and subtle cues. While we cling to language to hold our relationships together, your cat listens to everything that happens between the words. They feel the shifts in your mood, the pauses you don't even notice you make, the heaviness in your breath. And when something changes, they respond. Picture this. You're sitting alone, lost in thought, silent, still, and your cat approaches, calm, deliberate. They curl into your lap, maybe rest a single paw against your hand. That isn't accident. They felt your shift before you even admitted it to yourself. That isn't chance. That's connection. Cats are emotional interpreters. They don't ask what's wrong. They don't need to. They already know. And their answer isn't words. It's presence, stillness, loyalty without question. Too many mistake that silence for detachment. But feline silence isn't empty. It's full of companionship, full of presence without demand. When your cat sits with you in silence, they are offering something rare in this noisy world, emotional companionship in its purest form. And that silent loyalty comes from the way they see the world, through memory, through repetition, through pattern. The way you fold a blanket, the sound of a door opening, the rhythm of your walk through the kitchen. These things are not trivial to them. They are landmarks in the landscape of their life. When those patterns shift, when you fall quiet, when sadness lingers, they notice. And they respond not with panic, but with closeness. Because to your cat, you are more than a person. You are territory, not just physical, but emotional. You are scent. You are rhythm. You are the environment they belong to. When you're gone, It isn't absence, it's disorientation, a fracture in the map of their world, and when you return, balance is restored. This is why your cat waits by the door, why they follow you, from room to room, why they curl against your chest when sleep won't come. They are not reacting, they are holding space for you. They are answering your silence in the only way they know how. And here's the extraordinary part. They don't need to know your story. They don't need to solve your pain. They just stay. They stay when you're broken. They stay when you're quiet. They stay when your words run out. Because to them, love isn't about talking. It's about presence. And in that art, they are masters. And yet, this silence leads us to something even deeper, something sacred. Because the moment you do speak, your voice is transformed. It is no longer just sound. It becomes memory. It becomes comfort. It becomes the signal of home, and your cat never forgets it. Ever. So let me ask you, has your cat ever answered your silence with loyalty, with presence, without a single sound? Did you realize what they were giving you? Share your story below, because as powerful as silence is, your voice still lives inside them. And in the final truth, you'll see just how eternal that voice really is. It's home. That's what your voice becomes to your cat. Even though they don't understand your words, they feel you, your tone, your rhythm, your emotional energy. Over time, your voice weaves itself into their world, becoming a signal of safety, of routine, of love. Whether you're whispering, softly humming to yourself, or simply breathing in the same room, your cat listens. They store those moments deep inside them, and even in silence they answer you, with presence, with stillness, with trust. Your voice is their emotional anchor, their favorite sound. So never stop talking to them, because they've been answering you all along, in ways so quiet, so subtle, you may have missed them. If this touched your heart, I want to hear your story. Tell me in the comments, what does your cat do when you speak to them? That one glance, that one slow blink, that one unforgettable moment. Your story may help someone else realize their cat has been listening all this time too. And if you want to keep exploring this bond, the hidden language, the silent answers, the love beyond words, subscribe to Paws and Whiskers and leave a like. Not for us, but for them. The companions who follow us from room to room, who sit beside us in silence, who love us in ways words could never capture. Because the most meaningful conversations are the ones spoken without sound. Thank you for watching. And until next time, may you always hear what your cat has been saying.